Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be recommending some romance companion series for you to read, so let's just get right into it. So if you don't know, a companion series is a series of books where each book is a standalone. So in the case of a romance book series, that usually means that each book follows a different character. So each book probably focuses on a different couple, their relationship, and like a full different story. But you could read like book 3 on its own and still understand it perfectly fine. Like they're all sort of just books within a series that all go together, if that makes sense. And so for this video in particular, I've decided to exclude any sports recs because I'm going to do separate videos for each sport and different things in the future. So for this one, it's going to be just like general romance books. The first series is the Seabreeze series by Abby Glines. This was actually one of the first companion series I ever read when I got into reading last year, or the year before last year now, I guess. And this one is super fast paced, super easy to read. Like if you're just looking for something fun and light to read, these books are really good for that. They each follow a person in this town of Seabreeze who basically it's all one friend group who all hangs out all the time. The first book follows a girl who ends up dating like a major pop star because she gets a job working in his mansion in this small town. And then the rest of the book sort of follow the friend group of another one of the guys that was working in this mansion, but they all sort of become one big friend group throughout the course of the series. But it's really like they're all very different. They all have different tropes. There's a single parent one, there's brother's best friend, there's friends to lovers, enemies to lovers. There's like this book has like so many, or the series has so many different tropes in it. It's got the one of them is famous obviously for the first book, and the end, like the last book, is also really good because it's got like sort of bonus epilogues for each of the characters from the previous books, so that's kind of cool as well. And like I said, it just follows like they're all college age. There's only one I believe that's actually in college, but they are all like, you know, early 20s I would say in this book, or in this series. My personal favorite in this series is Bad For You, which I believe is closer to the end of the series, but it follows the lead singer, I guess, of the band that plays at this like bar that they all go to all the time, and he ends up dating this girl who moves into the apartment below him that is like super reserved, and he has like tattoos and piercings and like green hair and whatever, and she just like thinks he's like the craziest thing she's ever seen. But that one was just like my favorite. It was so cute, and like I said, obviously I recommend the whole series because it's really good, super fun, fast paced, easy to read. Really love it for that. Next, also by Abby Glines, is the Rosemary Beach series, and this one is sort of similar to Seabreeze in that it's like a small town, obviously Rosemary Beach, where all of these characters live. But this book series is a little different in that not all of the books necessarily are about a different character, because I think the first 3 or 4 books all focus on the same couple, but after that all the books kind of go in twos. So the first couple gets 4 books, and then each couple after that gets 2 books. But I will say, every time you read the first book in the sort of duet of each couple, it ends on a cliffhanger. So if you're going to read like the first book about a couple, make sure you have the second book about that same couple. The titles are titled in a way that you can tell which two sort of go together. Like there's one called Simple Perfection and one called Twisted Perfection, I think, and they both obviously are focused on the same couple, and they all change like that. The couples, like the titles can tell you sort of which couples are in the book, I guess. And this one is a little bit, I would say, older than Seabreeze. I don't think any of these are like college age kids. They're all sort of mid-20s, I would say. And the first book starts out with this girl whose mother dies, and she goes looking for her dad, and she has this address of like where he lives, and she shows up and there's this huge party going on, and she's like, what the heck is up with this? Like, why is my dad sending me to this place where this huge party is going on? And she goes in and people are like pointing her in the different directions and things, and she finally finds Rush, who is the guy who like owns the house, I guess, but he is the son of a really famous drummer, and so that's why they live in like this crazy house and they're having this crazy party. But he is also the son of the woman that her dad is dating. So he's like essentially her stepbrother, but not really, because like they've literally just met now in their mid-20s, and their parents, I'm not even sure if their parents are like actually married, but that's how they meet. And he is like a real jerk to her at the beginning. He makes her sleep in like the maid's sort of like quarters, I guess, of the house and things, and he's just like really nasty to her. And obviously like it's an enemies to lovers thing where she starts to grow on him and they end up getting together. But that is the first couple, and the next couples are all like really really good as well. Like I said, this one's a little older than Seabreeze. They're definitely like, a lot of them have like real jobs, and towards the end of the series things get a little bit crazy, and there's like some mafia stuff in there which like I was not expecting. It just like totally went like really crazy in the last couple books, but overall the series as a whole is really really good. Next is the Bromance Book Club series by Alyssa K. Adams. This one, I believe there are 4 books out now, and the 5th book has already been announced. It's going to be a Christmas book this year, and this one follows a group of guys who all hang out together in their romance book club, and basically it's these guys who read romance books to help them with their real life relationships. And so the first book follows a guy whose wife is kind of wanting to leave him, and he's like, I have to save my marriage, like we need to stay together, and he's reading all these books trying to figure out like what to do to get her to, I guess, like stay with him or whatever. And each book follows a different member of this book club. And what I really like about this one is that because it's a book club, each guy has a completely different story. Like, they're not all hockey players, or they're not all this one type of guy, you know? Like, the first one is a baseball player, the second one, I believe, is like, I can't even remember what his job is. The third one is a IT guy. The 4th one is a hockey player. The 5th one is going to be a singer. Like, I like that they're all different sort of situations and characters. Like, they're all very unique, even though they all kind of link together because they all are in this book club together. And I just really like that aspect. Like I said, the 5th book's coming out this year. I think it's called A Very Bromance Christmas or something like that. Or A Very Merry Bromance, maybe. But I'm really excited for that one as well. The whole series has been really good so far. This is another one that's kind of pretty lighthearted, and if you're not looking for something super deep and heavy, this is a good series for that. Next is the Wait For You series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I really don't see this one talked about as much as it should be because I love this series. This is a college romance series. Each book follows a different couple, obviously, but this one is sort of interesting in that I believe only the first 2 or maybe 3 books actually take place on the college campus, and then I think it's the 3rd book is about a girl who goes back to her hometown, and she's from the college, so you see her in the other books, but she moves back to her hometown in this book to deal with some issues, and you sort of see her meeting all these other people in this town, and because of that, that sort of relocates the series to that small town, and then the books that follow are all about people that live in that town instead of people from the college. But I really liked how it transitioned because I almost feel like you start like with the college kids, but then you sort of age into adults. Like towards the end, some of the characters are a little bit older, and I really liked that like natural sort of progression of, okay, like we're done at the college, now we're focusing on this town. And I really liked that. All of the characters in the town work at this bar or have something to do with the bar, and they're all characters you've seen before in previous books, so I really love that as well. This one also has a ton of good tropes in it. It's got a really really good brother's best friend one in the 2nd book, I believe. It's got all kinds of good stuff. I love the 1st book in this series. It's probably I think it's my 3rd favorite book of all time. I just really love it. I think it's really sweet. And I love the characters in this series, and just the whole progression of the story, like I said, it felt very natural and was interesting to me that it didn't just stick on the college campus. I thought that was really cool. Next is the Fallaway series by Penelope Douglas, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that this is a series, but it is. So the first book in the series is Bully, which I feel like everyone has heard of, but there's actually like 3 or 4 more books that come after that book that I feel like no one talks about. So the 2nd book is Rival, and then there's, I believe it's called Falling Away is the 3rd one, and then there's A Flame, which one of them is just, I think, Bully from Jared's perspective. But if you liked Bully, the rest of these books are very similar. They all kind of have like that darker sort of Penelope Douglas edge to them, but they're all really really good. I love this series. I flew through it so quickly. It was so good. Like, I find it so hard to find books like this now that make me feel the way this series did. Like, I just like devoured these books so quickly. And if you haven't heard of Bully, Bully is about a boy and girl who are neighbors, and when they were kids they were best friends, and then all of a sudden this boy, when I think he's like maybe like 13 or something, he goes away for the summer to visit his dad, and he comes back and he just hates this girl all of a sudden, and she can't figure out like what happened, but he starts like actively bullying her at school and like being a jerk to her all the time on purpose, and obviously they end up sort of getting past that, but it's just like a really good book. It's like sort of the, I feel like the first real bully romance that I ever read. Obviously, like, the title literally tells you what it is, but it was like the first one I ever read, and it's definitely the one that I sort of compare every other bully romance I read now to, because I just really loved it. I fell in love with the characters and the whole setting and the like side characters, and so the fact that the side characters got their own books later was also really cool. And with this one, interesting fact here, Penelope Douglas is actually writing a spin-off to this series right now. I think it's called The Falls Boys, and it's going to focus on the kids of the characters from these books. So definitely recommend like reading this series before that comes out, because I think that will be really cool as well. Probably going to be another really good series from her. Next is the Shacking Up series by Helena Hunting. This one has, I believe, 3 books in it, but there are also like a couple other books that don't have the same covers to match this series, but they do go with it. So maybe there's like 5 books total. If you look it up on Goodreads, it'll show you all of them. But this one follows, the main 3 books follow brothers who are all heirs to a hotel chain that is basically like equivalent to like the Hilton hotel chain. Like, it's this massive sort of company that they're all gonna inherit, I guess. And so they're all like super rich. And the first one is about a girl who goes to this party and ends up kissing this guy, and then he like coughs or sneezes on her or something, and she ends up getting super sick, and she can't audition for something the next day, and this audition was like one she really needed because she's running out of money. And so now she's super mad that this guy has like gotten her sick and she's lost her voice and whatever, and she can't get this job. And her friend is like, hey, I know this guy that's going on vacation and he needs someone to pet sit, like, would you want to do that? And she's like, sure, like, I need the money, like, I'll do whatever. And of course the guy she's pet sitting for ends up being the guy that coughed on her at the party. And so they kind of spend the whole time he's away like texting and things, and he's just finding reasons to talk to her and stuff. And this one's just really cute as well. I think it's the 3rd book in this series. It's really good. It's definitely my favorite. And like I said, each one follows a different brother from this friend group. There's all different sort of storylines that go along with that. And like I said, there are other spin-offs. I haven't read those yet, but actually I don't even think they're spin-offs. The covers are just different, which is really strange to me. But anyway, really good series as well. Lastly is the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang, and this one I really loved as well. Each book follows a different, I believe are they all related? I guess they're all, there's 2 brothers and a cousin, I think, is how it is sort of laid out. And so the first book is about a girl who is kind of having some issues with dating, and she thinks if she hires a male escort that she'll like solve all her problems. And she meets this guy that way, and obviously more goes on than just that. But the next book follows his, I believe it's his cousin or his brother, but his mom is like, you're gonna get married, you need to get married. And this is the bride test, by the way. And she goes and to Vietnam and literally brings him back a girl, and she's like, if you keep the girl in the house all summer and like you live with her and you don't love her at the end, like, I'll stop trying to hook you up with people. And he's like, fine, deal, done, whatever. Like, he just thinks he'll suffer through the 3 months with this girl in his house, and of course that's not how things go. But this one was really cute as well. This one's my favorite in the series for sure. And then the last one, The Heart Principle, follows I can't remember if it's a brother or a cousin of the other 2, but his relationship with a girl who, this book has a lot, or this series as a whole has a lot of autism rep. I think each book has a character who is somewhere on the spectrum or has something similar to autism, and so there's a ton of that in the series. I know this one is really popular as well, which is why I'm not going to go too in detail about the books, because I feel like everyone's heard of it. But it is a good like companion series where each book follows a different couple, but they are all interlinked, and you do see the characters from the other books show up in these books. And so those are all my recs for today. If you guys have any companion series that you love that I did not mention in this video, feel free to comment them down below and I will check them out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I'll see you next time.